Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2025 season. As we look ahead this week to the game against Castleford, I'd like to welcome all of our new subscribers who now like us because we share their opinion.
Uh, yeah,
And we're no longer sitting on the fence, Kevin.
yeah, yeah. Don't think I've been sat on the fence since Warrington, have I? But
No,
maybe it's the way I word things. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just the way I
see,
word.
and they're going to really hate us when I swing back and have a different opinion. Oh, do you know what? We've just lost 20 subscribers. You're
Oh well,
welcome.
yes.
I do like receiving messages saying you're not the idiot I thought you were.
Well, to me, you're still the idiot I think you are.
Love, mum. Oh dear, Kevin. Looking forward to Friday.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Bring a friend for a fiver. It's if you even if you've used it this year. Um, if you've got anybody you want to introduce to the exciting world of rugby league, Friday is the game to do it, and you can bring them to the Totally Wicked Stadium for the final time this year for the princely sum of £5.
Excellent value.
They won't thank
That's
you
all.
for it.
Yeah, that's all I've got to say on the matter. It's excellent value. The only problem is with the squads that have been named, you'd be saying, "Oh, does he play all the time?" No, no, he doesn't. Either. He's leaving. Yeah, he's leaving too.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's stop being so positive. But
Kev, it's an airport,
we're announcing departures.
but we are going. No, that's when it's not an airport.
Yeah,
It's not an airport. There's no need to announce your departure, but this is an airport, and we do need to announce your departures. So the three will focus on Joe Batchelor, John Bennison, James Bell, all players we've known about are leaving for the last 6 months.
yes, yeah. I think other media. I did reply to someone on Facebook. I think it was saying that these have already been announced, but they hadn't been announced by Saints and then by Hull in the case of Batch and Bell. But good deals got by Batch and Bell, I think. Like you put on record how good they are as players, but Joe Batchelor, what a fella he was, got involved in the community side of things as well. A proper, what you call a proper clubman who, like always, like just got got the club, didn't he? And because he got involved in bits like that, it kind of endeared him to fans a little bit more as well. That and listen, he was a good player for us. One of our success stories from the championship.
Yeah, and do you
Uh,
know what? I'm not even being facetious saying we discussed this 6 months ago because Redvee TV, episode 11, 5th of March, 2025, there was a slide that said, Waka Waka, we've got no bachelor.
yeah,
And I think we spent 15 minutes discussing it. And do you know what? I put a tweet out last night where um, I said I'm made up for Joe Batchelor and James Bell getting such good deals with Hull FC. Um, and as Saints fans, we've seen the best of them. And we had some Hull FC fans come out and saying that's a bit salty, isn't it? No, that's true. I think Joe Batch was at his best in 22, 23. The last 2 years haven't been up to the standards that he set himself. James Bell, when he plays, can be tremendous, but he's been beseeched by injury far too often and missed too many games. And I think the the chance for players who've been so good for us and have been so professional and done everything asked for them and fitted into the team culture, the town, embraced with the fans. I'm really glad to see them get such a good move and secure their own futures for the next 3 years minimum in Super League. As a club, would I have wanted Saints to match those deals? No. I think offering those two individuals 3-year deals at the stage of the careers that they are at, and the position that Saints are in, would have been awful business.
Yeah, I think if there's an offer of maybe like a 1+1, Saints fans might have gone, yeah, all right, fair
In
enough. I
Saints'
see why.
favour.
Yeah, I see why you've done it. But the fact of a 3-year deal, it's a great move to a club who've improved this season as well. It's a great move for the lads to get that security. And I really don't blame them for going. As you say, with Batch, his appearances 2023, 17 appearances, 2024, 19, 16 so far this year, I think he's on. He just, as much as I love him, and I love him as a player, I love him as a bloke, I think that because of the lessons that we've been so badly burnt with in the past, we can't go throwing 3-year deals out at two lads who would be 31 at the start of next year. And I get it that we possibly will do in the future, but when you've had that spate of appearances, I don't think if you do a risk assessment on that, is your body going to get loads and loads better? Or are you going to be bobbling around that 20 game mark? If you risk assess it, you say it's probably not. Same with James Bell, as again, such a great competitor. Another one, he did a forum for us, absolutely top lad. Looked like he enjoyed it, properly got involved in it all, unlike some. And he properly, like, he seemed like some kind of the glue that kept that squad together and kept him entertained. I think you hear all the time about him singing and playing his guitar and stuff like that. But he was always better off the bench, and I think that's what he'll end up doing at Hull as well, of bringing that energy from the bench. I'm not sure I really saw it when he started, and saw the same energy levels. But he could come on and do 60 minutes then once he come on, and usually for Morgan and getting into the 13 role, he was such a good player for us. And I think even like last week, he was one of our best against Lee, wasn't he? So
He
he's
was.
still got it. But you're looking at, again, a lad who, does he turn 32 in the middle of next year or in May
Yeah.
next year or something like that? I think you risk assess that and you go, it's just not worth it for Saints to kind of throw it. Unless you're a generational talent, and we're talking about, say, Jack Wellsby in another good couple of years' time, still at the club, and you want to throw a 3-year deal at him because he's still performing at that very top level week in, week out, that's when you can get away with it. But unfortunately for these two,
And,
I think it's a good move for them to go to Hull.
and part of Saints' issue has been giving players deals based on past their past and how
Yeah,
they've gone for us in the past and basing it on name. So if Hull FC have offered Batch a 3-year deal based on his 22-23 highlight reel, amazing. But
yeah,
James Bell has made 6 appearances this year.
yeah. And I know you get people, you will get people on Facebook and in comments sections and stuff saying face doesn't fit, face doesn't fit. I'm not having that. I'm just having it that he's been injured this year. And listen, there may well be a little bit of you've gone and got this move and how it's come about, unsure of. But I think because of the issues that we've had, he would still have played. He'd have still been one of our players. He'd have still been one of our team, one of our 17, had he been fit. But even like you look at Hull KR, where we probably needed him, and as far as we were told, he just wasn't fit because of he had a little bit of a reoccurrence of his foot injury, so missed that week. It's a risk. It's a risk signing players in the 30s on a 3-year deal, and I'm sure that while our fans would love to see these two pull um, the shirts of Saints on again, you understand the reasons why Saints have got to kind of let some players go and refresh the squad, and that then now puts the pressure on the hierarchy, whether it's coach, whether it's some kind of recruitment board, whoever it is who makes them decisions to replace these. You've got to replace.
And you know what? They may well go to Hull next season, be fully fit, have a really good pre-season,
Yeah,
play every single game and have a
correct.
fantastic year because they're more than capable of doing so.
Yeah,
And again, with our best wishes, apart from when they're playing Saints, I hope they do that.
yeah, same.
Um, and I don't want people looking at this in 12 months' time going, we should have kept them. I think the judgment will be in season 2028 and how they're going then.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
otherwise, you potentially you've got two 34-year-olds nearly who are past the best at that point
yeah,
in a very similar position.
yeah, absolutely. And it's where we'd be looking at, well, we need to freshen up the squad, and we're not able to do that because we've got lads under contract. Um, as you say, I genuinely hope they do go over and play every single game, apart from when they play Saints.
And what
Uh,
Hull FC have got, they've got two really good professionals.
yeah, I think they'll enhance what Hull have got probably as a squad now, and I don't just mean that on the field; I mean off it. They'll from what we know of James Bell and Joe Batchelor, they are two proper solid blokes and proper good blokes. So no doubt they'll integrate really well into the whole squad.
Um, and let's not forget John Benison.
Yeah. And now John hasn't had anything formalised in terms of Saints announcing where he's going, have they? Or the club announcing
No, no,
where.
and I think the way Saints do it is they don't do they announce they're leaving and then it's up to their new club York to say when he's signing.
Yeah. Um, good drop in there. Yeah, I think that's and John's another one who, when you listen to his peers and you listen to the players around him, they all rate John Benison's work ethic. They all rate what he brings to the squad, and we've mentioned this where you need those good oppos in training to make sure they're pushing the first team squad and pushing for a place in that first team squad. And he's 100% one of them lads
Yeah.
who will do that for whoever he goes to. Um, Again, I think he's one of them who has got has properly got his fans. Some people saying he never got a chance. I think that's absolute rubbish. Played 49 times under Paul Wellens. I don't think if 49 times isn't enough to get a handle on whether you think John Benison should be starting winger or whether he's a squad player, um, then people think that that's not a chance, then I suggest you kind of take a step back and have a look at it more rationally.
If John Benison had hung around squad number 24, 25, and was happy to play that role for his career at the probably level of wage that commands, you'd probably have him as in your squad.
Yeah, but it's not right for his career, is it?
Absolutely
Uh,
not. And so my next question to you is, was it a mistake and too much pressure to hand him the number 5 jersey? Because,
Mistake's such a harsh word, I think.
and I'll say that because John Benison for me has always been a bit of a utility body.
Yeah,
I don't think he's ever like an out and out fullback. I don't think he's an out and out winger. I think he's someone you can drop in and won't generally let you down. Now I think I remember it was last year and we parked on the Trafford Centre, and we were getting the bus over to the Salford ground.
yeah,
And we had a full-on conversation about John Benison of like, would you give him another year? And I think that was the game where he had an absolute stinker as well.
yeah,
And we said he's done as a winger. You can't play him there as a first choice. And we've given him the number 5 jersey, which if you give somebody the number 5 jersey, you're basically saying you're the man on the wing. And then
yeah,
and then you've seen the likes of Owen Dagnall come in and shown what an actual out and out winger can do. And unfortunately, John's not capable of that at the level that we need him to be in a Saints
I
jersey.
think I think you said it on the phone to me before when we were picking what time we were filming today. That we've looked more balanced with Owen Dagnall on one wing and Kyle Felt on the other, or two actual wingers. So Lewis Murphy coming in, like if that gives you the balance, then that's what you're going to go with, isn't it? Um, I think he's more of a fullback than he is a winger. I think as a winger, he's one of them who unfortunately hasn't kicked on that little bit more. Um,
I almost think as a fullback, Kev, if he is more of a fullback, he'd have thrived in Super League 25 years ago.
that when Paul Wellens did,
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
But I think the fullback role has evolved. You need them more in chiming into your attacking line, which I don't think he does. He's an old-fashioned, solid fullback, isn't he?
But it's probably because we haven't seen him play fullback enough. But he has been out on the wing, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
And I think that now he's down to fourth choice fullback. If you look at our squad when everybody's fit, Jack Wellsby, Tristan Saylor, Harry Robertson are all ahead of him, fullbacks. Now it's gone on the wing that when this is exactly what I mean about taking your chance. Owen Dagnall comes in. What was it? 8 tries in 12 games. I think it was something like that. That is taking your chance. Now I know Owen's got speed, and that's an attribute that you can't really train into someone.
But neither is
But
a
he's,
winger.
yeah, and you need that. And he's looked to make things happen. He's looked to take risks. I mean, you look at his try, which got voted try of the season, where he's took a risk, admittedly against Cass as well. But he's took that chance to go and do it. He's took another chance with Huddersfield when he probably should have passed it to Harry Robertson anyway. But again, he's took a chance and he's gone for it and made something happen. And unfortunately, I think sometimes with players, and you can put other squad players who've been in and around the squad, so you like see Ben Davies, who's now gone, who haven't made things happen when they've got a chance in the first team, and instead of ended up kind of like moving down the pecking order because others are coming through and pushing, and we brought in people from the outside.
But it is the nature of sport. Players will come and try and take your place, and pecking orders change. What I will say about John Bennison is he scored a try for us in the grand final and helped us win one.
Grand final winner. He's part of the World Club Challenge winning squad. He has had and will always be part of our history at Saints. No one can take that away from him. As we say, if you have a bigger salary cap, if you have bigger squads, and he'd have been happy to continue to be that role where he comes in and probably plays 10 games a year, where you've got people who are injured, or you try and make it so people are having a week off, then great. But I think for John, he needed to get out of the club to go and forge his own path.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think he's done that by being willing to go out to witness and show what he can do. And
Yeah,
putting himself in the shop window is probably what is led to York looking at him and thinking, yep, he'll go all right for us.
and I'll point out the try that he scored against Featherstone, which I think we haven't mentioned before, where he plays the whistle. Featherstone think he's held, and they hear the hooter and let him go when he goes. They've probably seen that, and that is part of the work ethic that John will bring to York when he goes there. That kind of cleverness, that fact that he has been in and around a team at the very top, that
You,
because he's taken everything on like that, that is part of his quality.
you hear about his work ethic. I've heard stories that if training's for an hour, he'll stay for an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and he'll put that extra effort in. And listen, he's making a career. Before we move on, and we've talked departures, I just want to ask you a question. With the players that are currently being signed for next year by certain championship clubs, are you happy that the process to promote teams to Super League for 2026 is fair and transparent and is all being based on their own merits and no decisions have currently been made?
It stinks that decisions have been made, doesn't it?
I'm convinced that no decisions have been made and teams are completely jumping the gun, and none of them are any of the wiser about who's coming up. And there's going to be a lot of good players playing Championship rugby next year.
Well, I've which is great, but I'm sure I just saw it on Twitter and it's disappeared off my timeline. Where there's going to be a legal challenge to the change from 12 to 14 teams. So if that went through and there was a challenge to it and we ended up with 12, there will be some very good teams playing in the championship next year.
I just think there's some very questionable meetings occurring um, when clubs are all supposed to be applying and signings being made. It does stink that decisions have been made about who is in the league.
Yeah, it does. It sounds, in fact, it's Matt Hughes Media um, has put, it's in the Guardian. Super League faces 11th hour challenge pause button on expansion. So if you search Matt Hughes Media, all one word, you'll get the link to his column and about the chance of there being 12 teams in Super League again next year.
I'm just looking about who is doing it.
But just, I think the whole thing is muddy, isn't it? Like saying the first 12 will be IMG, and then the next will be chosen by a panel. It's like it feels typical rugby league, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'd rather the expand by over the next couple of years, just bring in the winners of the championship up each year.
Yeah,
Anyway, anyway, that's for another day, isn't it?
yeah,
Let's get back to it. So we've discussed departures. Just before we move on, a couple of other players leaving the club. Deon Sambu, Johnny Vaughan. We're not discussing them anymore because they've had enough airtime over the last. Well, one of them has over the last week, um, blowing his own trumpet. Uh, One player who hasn't is Will Roberts. Another one who will hopefully get a half decent move. It just injuries have probably contributed to him not quite getting his chance at Saints. Unfortunately, there's probably just too many players in his way.
yeah. Probably, and with it being a key position, it's one of those that you've kind of got to hit the ground running, haven't you? Unless you've come in from the NRL. If you're a young kid coming through,
Is it
you've
hard, Kev? Is it hard then as a halfback coming through at a club like Saints when we're not doing too well? You've got a coach trying to save his job week by week, so hasn't got the time to look long term and allow a young halfback to come in and make the mistakes in the first team. And have they been hindered by the Lewis Dodd experiment, which I say experiments, he ended up with the Rabbitohs and getting an NRL deal, but didn't go fantastically. And also, you've got George Whitby, and you might be able to do one, but you can't do both.
Yeah, and I think the clamour is for Harry Robertson to go into six eventually. And I think if he goes in there, you've got to be drip fed into that position. Um, you can't expect him just to hit the ground running, even though he's played six throughout his academy and scholarship and all that. But yeah, I think George Whitby is the uh, prime example of how difficult it is that fans are clamouring for George to be included, um, and he's not getting that shot because you've got a steady, functional-ish halfback partnership that has won you some games. So then you don't take the risk of someone playing necessarily exact like what's in front of him and nobody else being on the same page. I do think it's a tough position, sorry, to come into. Um, as you say, I don't think the Lewis Dodd one was an experiment. I think he was the next cab off the rank, and he did look good before his Achilles injury. But I think that just put him backwards because he just wasn't taking the line on. But Will Roberts, I think he's done the same as John Bennison, got out to Widnes, put himself in the shop window. I think Widnes were after signing him as well. They were in talks with him in the summer, but obviously if you can get a better deal, a better full-time deal somewhere, you take your chance, don't you?
You do indeed, and he's another one we'll be looking forward to seeing how he goes next year. I was going to
Okay,
I was going to
okay.
discuss the Um, oh yeah, Will Roberts is going to York as well. Just making sure that
Yeah,
it gone out there in the press. It has done. Um, End of season awards, we won't really discuss too much. Morgan Knowles pretty much won it all. Owen Dagnall was the try of the year, which was the one everybody saw against Cass. Tom Humphries, reserve player of the year, is going to be coming up to the first team squad next year. That got announced that he's going to be part of 5 players coming up into the squad as a hooker. So whether he's going to be second, third, or fourth
sorry,
hooker.
he was Academy Player of the Year. Reserves was Jake Davis.
Sorry, Academy Player of the Year, but is included. Jake Davis is probably another one who's going to be included. I know he's in the squad this year, wasn't he?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
you'd think he
Yeah,
might get games next year
he's been in the
if he's
21.
going to
He's
kick
been
on.
in, yeah, he's been in
Um,
the 21 a couple of times, Jake. So
and what else did I want to say? Oh, the young lad Mills, Tyler Mills, who
yeah.
got 16th Player of the Year and is bigger than Christmas.
Well, he's come from good stock because his granddad is big Jim Mills, and his dad David Mills is it the former Super League player.
Witness
So he's
some
coming,
London.
yeah, some good rugby league stock. But yeah, when he got onto the stage, he was bigger than Mike Bennett, wasn't he? And
Towered over him. He was absolutely massive.
he's huge, and it's one of them that you see him and go, yeah, he's a big lad, isn't he? So his challenge is, if he's a big lad against the academy, he's just got to make sure that he continues to maintain his progression through when he's playing against blokes who are the same size and bigger as big as him. You can't just kind of go and think, right, I've done it now. And I'm sure that he's, because of his good rugby league stock, I'm sure that he won't do that.
Yeah. So another potential name for the future there. Right, let's get onto the squads, Kev.
Yes, no changes at all. Just the 7. So Alex Walmsley drops out, failed his HIA last week. George Delaney banned again. Matt Percival, Matty Lees, Darrell Clark, Curtis Sirinen, and Harry Robertson also drop out. Paul Wellens on his presser said that while some of them do have little knocks and niggles and the likes, it's because he's been asking an awful lot of the players through the year. And in come Morgan Knowles, Noah Stevens, Lewis Murphy, the man pictured there, Will Roberts, Leon Cowan, Jake Davis, and Cole Marsh.
Yeah, I have real issues with so players missing out for niggles. They've been asked a lot throughout the year. Wello saying last week after League that the reason we lost was basically there was lots of players who were jaded and didn't have the energy. We've sat on this show all year saying, why are we flogging the same players week in, week out? Because he'll come back and hurt us, putting minutes in the legs at the end of the year. And whoa, or lo and behold, that's been the case.
And it's almost good that it has forced good. You don't want anybody to have a HIA, but Alex Walmsley being forced to have a week off is good for Saints.
Because he'd have probably flogged him again this week.
Yeah, George Delaney, big minutes, always does big minutes. Needs to improve his tackling technique. But again, would he have been flogged this week? Percy, you need to rest players like Percy. Percy could have a couple of weeks off and come back in still at the same level that you'd expect from Mark Percival. Matty Lees, did you do 80 minutes against Lee? If not, he was close to doing. He's done close to 80 minutes a good couple of times this year. Darrell Clark, there's been no real pressure, it doesn't seem, from anybody else in the 9 shirt. Especially with Moses moving to 7. Jake Burns has got to take a chance if he gets one on Friday. Curtis Sirinen, again, another one who's played a load of minutes, and Harry Robertson. This is a season where, yeah, he made, was it 9 appearances last year? And then we've asked an awful lot of him this year, and I'm sure that in reality, you don't want to put a player as young as that through as many games.
Quite frankly, our rotation this year has been appalling. Next year, a fit Mark Percival should not be seeing the field against the likes of Castleford, Huddersfield. You should be able to win games without him being there. You should roll him out for the Wiggins, the Warringtons, the Leeds, the Hull KRs, Hull FC. The games where you need your first choice players and have them fresh and firing. Forwards need better chance. You got a chance to, like George Whitby hasn't been seen for the last 12 weeks in a Saints jersey and isn't going to be seen again this week either. But
Yeah.
these are the games they should be playing in, and obviously George Whitby today named in the Saints 21-man squad at 12 o'clock, and at 12:13 he announces on his own Instagram feed that he's playing for Halifax this week because he's in their squad, but he's actually playing for them.
I,
Now,
I'm just gonna mark down George Whitby as one missing, as one
yeah.
player who's
So
missing out.
George, it was, I believe it was asked on the presser regarding George Whitby, and Wello's answer was that they just feel they wanted to play in a big game environment against Oldham this week for Halifax. Absolutely, 100%, got no issue with. But why is he in your 21-man squad then? It's got announced at the same time. If you already know he's playing for Halifax, why have you put him in the squad?
Pass, especially if then you're going to get the announcement 13 minutes later that he's going to be at Halifax. If your players are doing that, and listen, he's only a young kid. He's excited to go and play for Halifax. But if your players are doing that, they say just name a 20-man squad.
No, surely the answer that should be get given is we've put him in the 21-man squad in case we have an injury before Friday
Yeah,
and we choose to include him. But because listen, there's plenty of times this year where players have been in both squads,
yeah,
and you know full
well,
well that they're going playing somewhere else. What you don't expect
yeah.
is one of your players to just go and announce that he's playing for them on Friday instead. Because do you know what? Do you know who that hurts most this week?
Facts.
Halifax. Because Oldham can now have got 48 hours to prepare for facing George Whitby in a playoff game
Yeah,
and watch tape instead of keeping them guessing. And
yeah,
some of our players and some of our staff at the club need to learn to stop leaking information out of who's playing, where they're playing. Because guess what? You tell one person and half the town know.
yeah. Absolutely. I can't agree more with that.
Listen, we'll say, Kev, and we don't always get it in time for the show, but 90% of the time this year, we've probably known the 17 before game day.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
we've not received it from directly from someone in the club because they're leaking it to Redvee because they're not. It doesn't. We never get the squad or the team news from directly from anyone in the club. It's always from another fan who's been told and comes to us with it, and the bob
Yep.
on every week.
Yep.
Needs to stop, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Anyway, there's
Uh,
that moan gone.
and that's because, as has rightly been said, we're in a WhatsApp group with others, and said when you're winning, people kind of don't care about that thing because it doesn't matter. You're winning games. That's all that matters. It's when you're losing, then every little thing gets picked up on.
Yeah. Success by silence, failure invites investigation.
Yeah.
Um, said the well-known philosopher ChatGPT.
Do you want me to go through little bits that Wello said on his presser?
Well,
It's,
before you get to
it's
that,
got
obviously, before you get to what he discussed in his presser, he was discussing John Bennison coming into the squad this week in Mike Critch's Saying Tell and Star column, and he basically said John Bennison's playing on the wing this week. So there's one player coming in.
Yep. He said on the presser, Shane Wright will play this week.
Yeah,
He said on the presser that Lewis Murphy's got a good chance, and then I'm sure 2 sentences later said Lewis Murphy will play this week. But I think we've had it in the past where we've put a picture of a player up for the 21-man squad and then he's not played.
so in that case, then does Kyle Felt miss out?
Yes, Kyle Felt's one who misses out.
He's gone to try and buy a pair of pants instead of wearing jeans for the end of season awards dinner. He obviously didn't get
Yes,
the dress code, which was noted by a lot of fans on all the pictures.
yeah. So Morgan's missed a couple of weeks, so he's going to be brought in because it's almost like a bit of a pre-season hit out for him before we get into the playoffs. Jack Wellesby's been missing for a couple of weeks and trying to get his fitness, so I'd imagine he will play. Now, Paul Wellens has said there may be some debuts and did actually name check Jake Davis and Cole Marsh as potential players who could make the debut. I would definitely say that Jake Davis will be, I would imagine, would be one of them. He can come off the bench and do a stint in the second row if needed. But he did say that he was looking to build consistency in the spine. So while he wouldn't be drawn on whether it will be Tristan Saylor, Jack Wellsby, and Moses and By, that to me says that's your 1, 6, and 7.
Yeah. Darrell Clark's missing this week.
Yeah.
Johnny Lomax spelled him off the bench at 9 last week.
Yeah.
So would it make sense to play Johnny Lomax at 9 this week and get him minutes and reps there, given that he's probably going to be coming off the bench at Leeds doing the same next week?
Yes, absolutely. I think that is. I think it's a good shout to do that. Gets him on the field, gets your captain on the field for a start, gives you another pivot, gives you a point of difference really than Darrell Clark. And as we said, Johnny looked like he had a point to prove when he was warming up, didn't he? He properly looked like he was fuming when he was getting himself ready. I think he'll play. I think he'll start.
Yeah. Centres this week?
Well, there's only one named in the squad, really, and that's Dion Cross.
Who's your other centre then?
Matt Whitley.
I'm building a team here while we're doing this, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the same here.
So here's my team so far. Tristan Saylor, if you're keeping your spine the same, Tristan Saylor fullback.
Yeah.
Wingers, Murphy and Benison.
Yeah.
Centres, Dion Cross and Matt Whitley.
Yeah.
Halves, Wellsby and By.
Moses, yeah.
Props, Noah Stevens and Parsi.
Yeah.
Lomax at 9.
Yeah.
Joe Batchelor.
Shane Wright.
Morgan Knowles.
Yeah.
Bench, Jake Davis. Bell.
Yeah.
Who else did you say?
Well, he mentioned Cole Marsh, but I think Leon Cowan.
Leon Cowan.
Jake Burns.
Yeah. There you go. Missing out.
That would mean unless they rest Johnny, but I can't see that happening. So missing out, then you've got Kyle Feldt, Whitby, Will Roberts, Cole Marsh.
Yeah. I just wonder whether, I know it sounds awful, but do you know what? Will Roberts, you throw it, he's leaving the club. He's been part of the squad this year. It's a nothing game. Do you need to risk Moses and By?
You probably don't, and it could be a good shout to put him in there. But I'm just going off the line, looking to build consistency in the spine.
So my argument before I heard you say that, and we had this conversation before, was we've had 26 rounds. We've not built any consistency in the spine. I don't think you're going to gain anything this week in terms of anything you're going to take into the Leeds game. The only negative you can have from it, or the only thing you can take from it, is a potential injury or HIA, which then ruins your system for the following week.
Yeah, it's true. It's a risk, isn't it?
Put people in bubble wrap and give the lad a game.
You have just reminded me of one of my favourite comments that I saw on YouTube from a bloke called Paul Bennett, who said, "With more spines than a medieval graveyard." And I just thought that I loved it. I love that as a phrase because it's true. If we change it again, that's another swap in the span. And I don't think you're going to get combinations this week. I don't think because of, I mean, you look at that team that we've just named and people could come with something completely different and maybe say Knowles starts as prop rather than at 13 and you put Shane Wright in at 13 or James Bell in at 13 and you swap it about a bit like that, bring Parsi off the bench
it's good. The
There's
only thing I will say is, from listening to Morgan Knowles speaking, he was very, very confident. Um, all the players seem to be confident that we can go and do something in the playoffs this year.
good. I mean,
I'm
the thing
glad. I'm
is,
glad that they think that. What I would argue is, well, why haven't we done it in the 20 odd games we've had against Hull KR, Lee, and Wigan previously?
I wouldn't put it past Saints doing it, but do I think it'll happen? No.
I seem to remember the players being similarly confident last year that if we got everybody fitting on the pitch, we'd go and do something, and we lost at Warrington.
But that was yeah. I think after it, because we saw a couple of plays after it, and they said exactly the same. They were like, "Oh yeah, we if we'd have had another couple of weeks with our team together, we'd have won that. We'd have
Is
won the comp."
is this the equivalent, Kev, of me and you playing footy now, and your 40 odd year old brain still thinks it can do it? Unfortunately, your feet don't correspond.
Your whole body just doesn't correspond. Possibly. Just
So my analogy here is: are there players still in that championship winning mentality, but unfortunately, we're not actually delivering it in performance?
I think that as you've rightly pointed out, what have we seen from the past 20 odd rounds that makes you think that we've got a run in us to go and win the grand final against teams who have consistently beaten us over the past 20 games? You have a look at, say, if it comes to Leeds, yeah, we've got history of beating them recently and in a grand final type match over at Headingley where it was tight. But you need to back that up again. You can't go over going, well, we've done it once, we beat them at our place as well, so we can do that again. And you've got to back it up on the pitch. It's all very well saying it. But if we go to Lee, if we go to Hull KR, if we go to Wigan, all the permutations that are still possible as we move through. Are you confident at going to any of them places and getting anything like a result? Because I've just watched
Well,
us last week against
I'm
Lee, and
I'm
it
not
was
as I'm not as confident as our chief executive Mike Rush, who describes Saints as being like Floyd Mayweather.
yeah, yeah. Mm. How many? Just remind me how many fights Floyd lost.
None. I don't get the analogy, but there we have it. Anyway,
Yeah,
um, question then:
yeah,
Lewis Murphy
yeah.
plays this week. You signed him this year as your first choice winger. When he's played, he's shown he has pace. He can finish. As you alluded to earlier, I spoke to you and I said that we looked much better this year when we had Owen Dagnall in the team and an out-and-out winger opposite Kyle Felt. If Lewis Murphy comes through this week well, does he play against Leeds next week?
Yes, yeah. I think you've got to play who you think is your strongest, and as you say, the balance that two wingers actually gives you is the main thing. I know Dion Cross has played wing for Salford and played it quite a few times, but if you were going to argue, is he a utility back over an out and out winger? You'd say he's a utility back, can play some centre, can play some wing. I would go
If you
with.
have a
I'd
cutout
go
ball from Jack Wellesby running to the left, who do you want on the end of it? Do you want Lewis Murphy finishing it, or do you want Dion Cross?
well, didn't we have one of them the other week when Dion Cross finished it against Wigan? But he did the old Runcorn Bridge pass. So it doesn't. It almost doesn't matter. But I'd prefer us to be balanced with wingers because if you were giving me the choice between Lewis Murphy, from what I've seen in a Saints shirt, Dion Cross, from what I've seen in a Saints shirt, and Owen Dagnall, from what I've seen in the Saints shirt, I'd be going with Owen because he's making things happen as a winger, and you look more balanced. Unfortunately, that's not the conversation that we can have at the minute.
If Lewis Murphy's still at Saints next season, he should be fighting Kyle Felt for a shirt because Owen Dagnall should have to be the first on the team sheet for a winger.
You're giving him the number 5 shirt.
Oh, 100%. 100%. You're building your team around those players. Um, Unfortunately, you've got Kyle Phelps as your Aussie import, and then you're bringing Jacob Douglas in.
But Jacob Douglas is your next Dayon, probably where they might have signed Dayon to a new deal.
Yeah.
That's where you've got again your backup coming through. That you've got a winger there who you may say, well, listen, Kyle Phelps only going to be around next year, so we've got Owen Dagnall on one side and we've got Lewis Murphy on the other for the year after. But we need someone pushing them and potentially pushing them out the way. And if Lewis Murphy goes, well, actually, I've had a great year and teams are sniffing around me in Australia again. Then you've got that ready-made replacement.
Yeah. Right, I think that's us done and dusted. Kev, let us know if Iggy Parsi makes more than, I believe it's 9 meters he made.
Oh, was it?
Opta stats have
Right,
been
okay.
updated to say he made 9 meters against Lee, not six. So apologies for missing off those 3 meters. That
Have we
here's one
put
for
that
you,
on the
Kev.
stats?
Last question for you. Noah Stevens comes back in the team this week, makes 200 meters on 10 carries. Does he still get dropped for next week?
Going on the behavioural balance of this year, yes. Shouldn't do. Have we not got the cast squad then?
There's a cast squad. They're not very good. The end.
Well, for those who like it, unchanged 21 after the 62 points to 60 feet against Wigan last week.
They've obviously shown enough, and the attitudes were right to keep their places this week. There was probably a lot of good things in their performance. 90% right, probably.
Possibly.
You, you must have liked the way they went about the business.
What's your prediction for this week?
The prediction is Saints by 50. They've
I'm
given
going to
up.
go.
They've given up. We'll put a performance in, give some fans hope, and then we'll get smashed next week. Actually, no. Do
I'd
you
go
know what?
Saints by.
I Could we go to Leeds and win? Yeah. Knowing Saints, they'll drag us all the way to Hull KR to get battered.
Don't.
And then the motorway will be shut again just to like really
Yeah.
like end your year well.
Yes. Ah well.
Lastly, something the club generally do well, and it went well last year, is the From the Ground Comes Light event. Now, this year they're only doing one night. Obviously, last year it was a success doing 2 nights, but so this year they've reduced it down to one. So tickets, there aren't many left. So I'm putting it on this video. So if you're watching this now and you plan on wanting to go, there are only a couple of blocks left. So this is your Redvee advantage. Get your tickets.
Yes.
Therapy over. I can't wait till the season's finished and we can just sit here and moan about everything else rather than moan about everything else and the team.
Yeah. Fair enough.
There was a discussion earlier we were having in one of our groups, and it was about like, why is everything being highlighted now when it wasn't when we were winning? And as I say, it was because when things get overlooked when you're winning. But if you're not doing things right when you're losing, it puts things in the spotlight. And unfortunately, there's a lot we need to do better.
I think when you're winning, when you've got stuff like your merchandise isn't necessarily the best. It doesn't matter because people want to buy it because you're winning. If there's something wrong with a story on the website, people don't care because you know what, you're winning. And it tends to be a good story rather than um, something where people are holding on for news. And I saw a response to someone who said the media manager doesn't work on days that end in Y. If anybody thinks the media manager is the person who kind of says when news is going to come out, they're absolutely deluded. Um, but yeah, once you start getting those little bits wrong, whether it be in merchandise, whether it be marketing, whether it be in hospitality, whether it be what type of pies you serve or what type of hot dogs you serve behind the kiosks, what drinks you have, everything like that then just starts adding up. And those little 1% that you've kind of let fall down all come and add up, and fans start picking the things apart. And it's where Saints just need putting in a bag and shaking up a little bit.
Yeah, and do you know what? I'm just looking now. I just want to make sure before I say something. We'll have new jerseys out for Christmas, you'd hope.
Yeah,
In 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
yeah,
We've got a home and away jersey that we've not had any success in. Weren't great when they first came out. Are likely to be worn no more than once. Like Friday could be the last time we ever wear that home kit, potentially. Only made it at Leeds, maybe.
yeah. You'd wear it at Leeds, yeah,
We might never wear the away kit again. We're offering a whopping 20% off for a kit that's never going to be worn again. Why not? That it should have been 20% off in May and 35% off in July. And by the time now, you should be dwindling on your stock.
yeah,
I wish they'd study other clubs.
yeah. I think there's stuff that other clubs will do wrong, but there's stuff that other clubs will do right. You've got to take the best practices and put them all together and go, this is what we're doing, and this is how we're going to do it properly.
And I don't think
And
it's about I don't think it's about people wanting things cheap, but it was massively expensive in the first place.
well, I actually went on the O'Neill's website and found the St. Helens Hockey Club had their shirts out, which were both better than our shirts this year and cheaper, 37 quid. I'm sure if you said to a fan, you're gonna like the shirt's gonna be 37 quid for adults or 40, because I bet they're up to like 55 now, aren't they? I feel like we're
Yeah.
just too like ranting now. But if you were 40 quid a pop, you'd be more likely to go, should I? Yeah, I might get one of them.
Yeah.
Plus, as I said all along, as a 40 odd year old man, while I do wear replica just from time to time, um, I don't need a shirt with a holographic or iridescent or whatever type of badge they were selling that that shines when a light's put on it. I don't care. Just give me a normal badge.
So just out of interest, I'm looking at Leeds Rhinos. 40% off all the home kits. Their 2025 match day anthem walkout jacket was £50 to begin with.
Hmm.
60% off, 20 quid. Junior jacket was 40, now £16. Same for the home ones. They're selling the principal manager's jacket was 80 quid, now £32. All of the whole training range, which is massive compared to what we've got, is all 60% off.
Yeah.
They've already got the Leeds Rhinos 2026 hoodies on sale. The USA ones. They've got a USA range on sale already. Why do we get it so wrong?
Yeah.
They're selling it for 60% off. They're still making a profit.
Yeah. Are you? We don't know that. We don't know
Well,
the
they're not making a loss on it,
cost.
are they? They're not selling it. They're not selling things at a loss.
Don't know. Since shirts in the club shop for a fiver in the past.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has ended in a rant. In a people have just gone. Nah, I'm not watching this.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy the family action on Friday, Kev.
Oh well.